Hi, and welcome to this session on of a deep dive into how to identify your strengths in order to get a call for the interview that for a role that you want. I am Arun Singhal, a management coach and mentor with 40 years of experience in talent development. So, what are we going to do today? So, the purpose of this module is to give you an in-depth understanding of how can you identify your strengths that can help you get a call for the role that you want, right? At the end of the module, what you will learn is first you will understand why is it that we need to identify your strengths. Second, we will understand what do you do today to identify the strengths. What's your current process? Third, we will see what should you do that will help you identify strengths in a better manner and get improve your chances of success in getting an interview call for the role that you want. And then we'll look at what do these strengths could look like in real life for you so that you get sense of what the strengths really mean. All right? Okay, so let's go next. Let's identify why identify your strengths. Let's talk about that. See, identifying strengths is very important because anything that we do in life depends on what are we good at. If we choose to work on something that we are not good at, I think it's a kind of a recipe for disaster. But if you're working on something that we are strong on, that we know that we can do, then we have a very good probability of success. So identifying strengths, it will help you choose a role in which we can do well in the interview as well as do well later in life. Because first, please understand, each role requires different knowledge and skills to do well. A consulting role requires problem solving skills. A relationship manager needs to be good at building relationship people. A Python developer needs to be good in programming in Python. So you need to be good in these. What are the knowledge and skills required for each of these roles? First, you need to be good in getting selected, and then to do well. Hence, why not work backwards by first finding out what are you good at and then accordingly see what role should you select. Make sense? Example as I was quoting is a consulting role requires an excellent problem solving skills where relationship manager roles require excellent interpersonal skills. So we need to find out what are we good at? Are we excellent at problem solving? Are we excellent at relationship building or are we excellent at something else? Hence, you need to know what is your strength and then choose a role based on that strength. So let's look at what you do today to identify your strengths and how good is this process. Let's take a couple of seconds probably to think about and note down on a piece of paper. All right, so let's look at what do most of us do. Most of us identify our strengths entirely subjectively based on our own views. We don't know if our strengths are really our strengths or they are our wishful thinking. There's something that we think about, but we really don't have that. Or is there a strength in us that we are not aware of? Also, the recruiters look for your qualities, your strengths by three categories: attitudes, your behaviors, which is how you behave in certain situations, what do you know, your knowledge, and what you can do, your skills. And we don't spend time in identifying our strengths by each of the categories. And this leads to a confusion, what is called a confusion, develops into a confusion matrix. We think we have a strength and it actually doesn't happen. So it becomes a false strength. We think we don't have a strength and it actually is a strength. So out of the four boxes, we know only of the one box. So we miss the three-fourths. So instead of 75% of strengths, we work on 25% of the strengths. Make sense, guys and girls? Right. So let's look at how to identify your strengths. What you need to do is, apart from your own views, you do need to answer following questions about yourself. Talking about knowledge, so what is it that you know better than most others? Second, in terms of skills, what is it that you can do better than most others around? What do people like in you? And what have you been complimented about? Have your friends said, your family said, what have your work colleagues have said, what has your boss said that you are good at? Hey, Arun, you're good at building people. In fact, I want to tell you a story here. I didn't know about my strengths. I joined Unilever. and went on a rigorous management training program. And my first assessment happened with my area of sales manager. I was working as a salesperson. That's a part of the training. He looked at me and he said, "Hey, Arun, I think on a scale of 5, 1 was excellent, 2 was very good." And he gave me a good in people management, handling people. I didn't know I was good at people. And there, through the eyes of another person, through that compliment, I came to know that I have a strength in managing people. Second, very useful thing is to take an online test via using a website called www.authentichappiness.com. It's a completely free test. You can go online, register, and do what is called a VIA character strength test. Values in action. VIA stands for values in action. And once you do this, it's a longish test, about 240 questions, so don't get scared by that. But once you patiently go through for an hour or so, answer those questions, at the end it will give you a report which will classify 44 character traits into what are your top character traits and what are your bottom character traits. And the top 3 or 4 or 5 you can treat as your strengths. All right. So what could these strengths look like? And I have on the slide here in front of you an example of strengths, possible strengths by attitudes, and I've picked some example. If you're looking at attitudes, your strengths could be any of these, or it could be anything outside this also. You could be honest, you could be extremely honest person. You can say, "I'm brutally honest." And this is what a company like Unilever looks for. Second, you could strive for excellence in everything you do. And that's most of the companies do that. You could be hardworking. There are two kinds of people. People who start acting without thinking. And the second, who kind of think before acting. And you could be, if you are a person who thinks before acting, you could say, "Hey, that's my strength." Persistent. Keep trying again and again. Being responsible. Being courageous in face of adversity. Being thankful to people. If someone helps you, saying, "Hey, John, thank you so much. I appreciate your help." Caring for people. Do you really care for people? Do you take care of them in terms of their personal needs as well as professional needs? Your knowledge strengths could arrive from what you have learned in your various courses, academics, or offline. It could include, I've taken my own example. I could say that I know about strategy formulation, I know about marketing planning, sales management, operations. Also know a good amount about equity analysis and developing new businesses. So this could be treated as your strength. Then comes the skills. Skills are something that you have done and you can do again. So again, it could be examples like I can help formulate winning strategic plans. I can create a good marketing plan. I can get new clients. I can lead sales teams to deliver agreed objectives. I can lead an operations team. I can analyze company stock to recommend buy, sell, or hold, and I can develop new business plans. So that's what a strengths could look like. So what have we done in this module? What did we learn in this module? What we've learned is in the current process, most of us identify strengths subjectively, and that has its own issues. We miss what we think could be our strengths, and we also miss what could be our strengths and we don't know about them. And this process is not that effective because we could have identified false strengths and missed real ones, as I was mentioning to you a couple of seconds earlier. So we need to consider adopting a process that can give us real strengths so that we can select the roles in which we can do well. Why is the real strength important? Because if you are standing on a false bottom, you're likely to fall. But if you stand on solid ground, your strengths are a ground on which you are standing. So if you are standing on a solid ground on which you are strong, you can jump up, you can do well in an interview, and then you can do well in life. And we have a process that we showed you right now that can help you identify your real strengths. And we know that what our strengths could look like in terms of attitudes, knowledge, and skills. So what do we do next in our next module? So in next module, we're going to take this from here, from having identified strength, we're going to say, okay, how do we choose a couple of solid, suitable roles for us? And then we are going to take it forward. So thank you so much for watching this video of identifying your strengths on the way to getting a call for an interview for the role that you want. Thank you very much again.